You've seen him before. The man with a forced smile, dying inside. Not on a battlefield or in some dramatic tragedy. No, he's right there in front of you, carrying grocery bags, fixing the Wi-Fi, nodding along while a woman disrespects him in his own home. He thinks he's being mature, patient, the man she said she wanted. But he doesn't realize it. He's being erased, one it's fine at a time. And the most brutal part? He volunteered for it. Now here's the question no man dares to ask out loud. Why do women never seem to want what they say they want? She says she wants a good man. So why does she chase the one who ignores her? She says she values communication, then pulls away when you open up. She says she's looking for safety, but runs toward chaos like it's oxygen. Arthur Schopenhauer didn't see this as a mistake. He saw it as nature's brutal design. Because here's the red pill most men choke on. She's not lying to you. She's not evil. She's not manipulative. She's divided. Her words belong to culture, but her desire belongs to nature. And nature doesn't care how kind you are. It doesn't care that you were there for her breakdown or that you skipped your dream to help her chase hers. Nature only responds to one thing. Who can survive? Who can lead, not please? Who can stand firm while the world, and she test him? This is the story of the modern man's slow death and Schopenhauer's warning that could resurrect him. Welcome to Why Women Don't Mean What They Say. You were taught to take her literally. She says she wants a kind man, so you become kinder. She says she wants a man who's emotionally available, so you open up like a diary with no lock. She says she's not like other women, and you believe her. But Schopenhauer knew something modern men have forgotten. What a woman says and what she responds to are two completely different languages. This isn't deception. It's biology. And biology speaks in instinct, not logic. A woman can say with complete sincerity, I want a sweet, dependable man. But that same night, she finds herself texting the man who didn't reply for 3 days. She might tell her friends she's ready to settle down while her body is drawn to the unpredictable man who won't bend to her rules. Why? Because her social self was trained by media, schools, therapists, and 1,000 romantic comedies. But her primal self was forged in 3 million years of evolution. And that primal self doesn't want soft. It wants safe dominance, grounded leadership, unshakable gravity. That's why Schopenhauer called love, especially female love, a deception of nature for the continuation of the species. He saw through the illusion. He warned that what we call romance is often a biological imperative dressed up in pretty language. When she says, I want a man who listens, she doesn't mean speak more and tell me every feeling. She means be the man who hears everything without being shaken. Be the one who doesn't flinch when I test you. When she says, I want emotional vulnerability, she doesn't mean constant access to your insecurities. She means, show me your depth, but don't drown in it. You see the problem? Most men interpret her words like a legal contract. They think, if I do exactly what she says, I'll be loved forever. Wrong. She's not giving instructions. She's expressing confusion. Because even she doesn't fully understand what draws her in. Her biology bypasses her intellect. It doesn't care how many good morning texts you send. It doesn't care how much effort you make. It only asks, is this man worth admiring? Is he rooted? Or is he bending to win me? And the second she senses that your entire identity revolves around her validation, her body recoils. Not because she's cruel, but because nature wired her to pull away from anything that feels emotionally dependent. Dependence equals danger to her survival instincts. And survival always wins. So if you've ever wondered why she lost interest after you gave her everything, the real answer is devastatingly simple. You gave too much. You became nothing. You turned yourself into a mirror. And while she may have loved the reflection at first, she eventually realized she was staring at herself and felt nothing. This is the paradox. The more you try to become the man she says she wants, the less you remain the man her instincts respect. You thought devotion would make her love you more. You remembered every detail she told you. You were the shoulder she cried on. You canceled plans to be there for her. You became the man who never said no. The man who would do anything just to keep the spark alive. And for a while, it worked. She smiled at your effort. She thanked you. She maybe even said, I've never had a man like you before. But then something shifted. The energy changed. The sparkle in her eyes started fading. She stopped laughing at your jokes. She got quieter, more distant, and eventually, she walked away, leaving you confused, heartbroken, and convinced that something must be wrong with you. But Schopenhauer saw it coming. He warned that women, driven by the instincts of nature, are not selecting based on fairness, kindness, or consistency. They are selecting based on what moves them emotionally. Not what's good for them, not what makes sense, but what stirs their biology. Here's the cold truth. Your devotion, the very thing you thought would win her, killed the polarity that kept her attracted to you. Why? Because you gave her everything too easily. No friction, no edge, no mystery, just comfort, stability, predictability. And while she may have appreciated those things in theory, her nervous system didn't respond with desire. It responded with boredom. She didn't leave because you were bad. She left because you were safe. Too safe. Schopenhauer wrote, "Men are by nature more capable of objectivity. Women act more as the instruments of the species." That sounds harsh until you understand what it really means. Women are evolution's gatekeepers. They are not designed to cherish what's convenient. They are programmed to test, to challenge, to filter for strength. So when a man begins orbiting her, adjusting his every move to avoid upsetting her, abandoning his edge in the name of peace, offering emotional transparency with no restraint, he triggers no desire. Not because she's evil, not because she's ungrateful, but because devotion without boundaries feels like desperation. And nothing kills attraction faster than a man who looks lost in her shadow. You think she's pulling away because you're not doing enough. But what she's really feeling is that she already has you, and now she doesn't want you. Because the man she admired was whole before she arrived. He had direction, boundaries, and mystery. He didn't explain himself. He didn't perform. He simply was. So when you traded your edge for approval, you didn't become more lovable. You became forgettable. And the deeper tragedy? You thought this was maturity. You thought you were being a better man, but you were just becoming easier to leave. There are two women inside every woman, and most men only ever meet the first. The first is her social self, the one who speaks in values, goals, and intentions. The one who says she wants emotional safety, deep connection, a man who listens. She believes this. She isn't lying. She genuinely thinks this version of herself runs the show. But there's a second woman within her, her primal self. This one doesn't speak. She feels. She doesn't care about your good intentions, your calm tone, or your punctuality. She cares only about who you are at your core, about the gravity in your silence, the dominance in your presence, the sharpness in your boundaries. And here's where men get destroyed. They fall in love with what she says and build themselves around it. They become her therapist, her errand boy, her emotional support animal. All the while, her primal self is slowly suffocating because that version of her was never attracted to safety. She craves polarity, fire, mystery, risk. Arthur Schopenhauer understood this dynamic long before dating coaches existed. He said, "Women exist in the main solely for the propagation of the species and are only the means thereto." In plain English, her biology doesn't care about romance. It cares about selection. She is nature's filter. And filters don't reward effort. They reward energy. That's why the man who tries too hard is punished, while the man who simply is often the one she can't stop thinking about. And it drives the modern man insane. You think, "But I'm doing everything right." And she thinks, "I just don't feel it anymore." It's because she's living in two realities. Her social self wants to want you, but her primal self doesn't respond. And the worst part? She doesn't know how to explain it. Because how do you explain that you are no longer drawn to the man who loves you the most? So she rewrites the story. She says, "You changed. You got too emotional. I just need space." But what really happened is that you collapsed your polarity. You became too known, too predictable, too explainable. And the feminine cannot be magnetized by a man she fully understands. Because her deepest emotional desire isn't clarity. It's mystery within strength. She wants to feel your edges, not your apologies. She wants to orbit a man who knows who he is, not one who asks her to define him. And she wants to surrender, but only to a man whose presence makes surrender feel like safety, not sacrifice. You see now, her words and her biology are at war. And if you only respond to the first, you'll lose to the second every time. You keep listening to her words, and that's why you keep losing her. You believed her when she said, "I just want you to be more emotionally available." So you opened up. You told her your fears, your wounds, your doubts. You gave her honesty, transparency, even tears. And instead of leaning in, She leaned away. Now you're confused. You feel punished for doing the right thing. You did what she asked. So why does it feel like a trap? Because, brother, she doesn't speak the language of words. She speaks the language of energy. That means she doesn't hear what you say. She feels what you are. And what most men don't realize is this. You can say all the perfect things, but if your energy is off, she'll feel it and retreat. Schopenhauer didn't speak in modern emotional vocabulary, but he saw through the illusion with laser precision. He understood that women are attuned not to what is logical, but to what is felt. Their biology is scanning, always, for one question. Is this man safe to surrender to? Not emotionally soft, not endlessly talkative, not sensitive to the point of self-erasure. She's testing for presence. The kind of presence that calms storms, not joins them. So when you spill your soul out of panic, hoping it will draw her closer, what she actually feels is instability. Not because you're broken, but because you're offering your rawness without any structure to hold it. You've become chaos. And two chaotic energies don't create safety. They ignite panic. What she was actually asking for when she said emotional availability was this. Can you feel deeply and still lead? Can you stay rooted while I'm overwhelmed? Can you let me fall apart without falling apart with me? That's emotional leadership, and very few men have it. Most men either shut down entirely or become too open, too fast, too much. Both are unattractive because both signal that you haven't tamed your own storm. What she wants, even if she can't articulate it, is a man who has felt the fire within him and can contain it. Who can be vulnerable not because he's falling apart, but because he's already healed enough to offer it, not bleed it. She doesn't want to be your emotional crutch. She wants to lean into your strength. She wants to admire your composure under pressure. She wants to feel your stillness when her world is spinning. But the moment you place her on a pedestal and ask her to regulate your emotions, you kill the polarity. You stop being her flame and become her burden. She's not trying to break you. She's trying to feel you. To test the depth of your core, not through conversation, but through conflict, emotion, silence. This is the emotional language she actually speaks. Not words, but resonance. Not explanations, but energy. If you can't speak it, you'll never truly touch her soul, no matter how much you say.